So, it has not been a particularly pleasant week in my world. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I'm in a depression, essentially. It's kind of hard for me to verbalize things when I'm depressed. Not that this video matters, because he's the one that decides what I say here, but it's just been rough. Anyway, today I found a little ass in my jewelry collection. I used to make jewelry for my students. I'd make them these necklaces you could bid on rocks and stuff from China, and they'd be like 10, 15, 20 cents. And then I'd make these necklaces for my students. I'd give them little tickets, and then every week we'd have a drawing. And anyway, I bought a lot of stuff I don't even remember, but today, imagine my surprise when I found a little donkey. Of course, Jesus, it was prophesied that he would come in on a donkey, and then we all know how much God the Father enjoys calling himself a badass. I think it's pretty badass that I hid an ass in a bead collection for this very moment. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking when I purchased this. Like, I had to have bid on this ass. Oh, I thought that was so cool when I was little to say the word ass because it was in the Bible. Okay. So this video is the righteously true, I tell you, story about Adam and Eve. I'm sorry, he's so on my nerves. Like, I could have said that myself. That was just not necessary. Okay, so this has been like a long time coming because he just reveals little bits and pieces of it as the year has gone along. And yeah, it's me taking over again. The reason I'm taking over is because a lot of people are gonna have a problem with what I'm about to say. And by I mean she, meaning her. Anyway, this is gonna upset a lot of people, and I want to make sure people can't do this without God's help. Okay. Y'all can just name me the reluctant prophet, 'cause I'm not enjoying this anymore. Yeah, it's a little awkward trying to tell a story after that little outburst. Are we really going to tell the story now? Like, this is kind of a big story. This is like... This is something people have been fighting over for thousands of years. There's just so many problems with the story of Adam and Eve. I mean, science has a real problem with it. And we all know now that science is God. Okay, so I'm going to try and set the story up a little bit. If he needs to come in and clarify, then that's what's going to happen. So, God, well, there was a Big Bang in heaven that preceded the Big Bang on earth. And I've told you all that somehow our souls got shattered. And that's how we got our own soul. But apparently, when he figured out that he had a consciousness and he started creating words and he was really lonely and he exploded, the first time happened in the heavens. And he exploded into essentially the same mess that the physical world exploded in down here. But this was a long time before ours. So he was up there figuring out how to get the darkness from the light. He exploded, and then everything took more years than there's a number for to kind of settle down. And as everything that exploded, that was him, his original Big Bang, as everything settled, things kind of went to certain places. So things that were from the light were therefore attracted to the light. Things that were from the darkness were attracted to the darkness, but it was all mixed up. So anyway, he had to wait for all the souls to settle down. And then he kind of assessed what was going on and what he could do with this huge mess. So he started watching everything and kind of using his imagination. And Jesus was there, and his soul was distinct because it was more from him than anything else. It was like an actual part of him had broken off, which the other parts were kind of loose. But Jesus broke off, and he was a part of God. So anyway, all the souls kind of like gravitated towards their similar parts, and that's a whole nother story. But while he was watching all this movement, he started having an imagination and thinking, what can I do with these souls? So he conceived of a man and what he would look like, etc. And he eventually, after a very long time, figured out how to manipulate the spiritual realm enough to create Adam. And this is a long story, but we can't conceive of the time in between what was going on. But he created Adam, and then he created Eve. And he had created this realm that he called Eden. Well, it had a different name, but its Earth's equivalent is Eden. And this was a safe space. And he thought he had been able to keep the darkness out. Because previously, Satan, well, she's learning a lot more about his history. Whoa, is it fascinating. But anyway, he was sent outside of the area I had protected. And he was commissioned to attract dark souls so I could keep them contained. So he'd go out and kind of scour like it was similar to our space. He would go scour that and try and attract things. But then he got a little close to the equivalent of Eden, and he started apparently whispering to Eve, and Eve heard and listened, and see, when I talk about this, there's emotions that come up. This is something he does not like to talk about. It is not allowed to be spoken of in the heavens. This time period, it was kind of erased in ways. So anyway, he had this perfect area where darkness couldn't get in, and Satan and Eve conspire. They did some bad things. And then one day, I guess we'll learn about it, maybe, if he can handle it. But one day, something they did opened up a portal in between the equivalent of Eden and the darkness outside. And God the Father, he thought he could trust the situation, and he didn't notice. And what happened was that once this portal got opened, the darkness snuck inside and started attacking the human souls who he had protected. So Jesus was closest to God, which meant the darkness was farthest away. But the souls, like at the edge, that were relatively not too damaged from darkness, once this portal got opened because of what Eve and Satan did, it started infecting all the souls, but he didn't notice for a very, very, very long time. So it was slowly seeping in like a cancer. And he's making me feel sick. One day he showed me a vision of just mass panic. Like the moment he realized what had happened. It was like alarm bells and sirens and everything stopped, because he was beyond livid. But I also kind of blame myself for, see, he trusted her. He trusted her. So anyway, that sent the heavens into a completely different trajectory, which is where we find ourselves now. We are trying to purify the darkness from the souls that got infected because of what even Satan did. So he eventually, I'm not in the right brain power. Essentially, he concocted this plan where he could make a physical universe that reflected the heavenly universe, and we could get these souls cleaned up, and we could get back to where he had thought he'd had us originally. But, originally, I didn't know what I was going to do with all those human souls. So he had all these souls up there that he loved, but they didn't have a consciousness. He couldn't do much with them except enjoy, like, I guess, kind of the entertainment that they gave him. And they were all so different and distinct, and I'm going to take over for a minute. You're going to be surprised to hear that the original Adam and Eve 1 up in heaven, were supposed to be, well, my family. To have a family member do to you what Eve did to me. Like anything you read in the Bible, that you get this sense, like the Whore of Babylon, all that stuff, that's about Eve 1. Like you can see his rage. And Eve 1, so Eve 1 is the character in Revelations is what I prefer. She's in Revelations. She's taken away to be taken care of. She has no idea what I have in store for her. She's just been waiting patiently for me to punish Satan, while Satan's been thinking, well, Satan's been thinking that I'm going to take out my wrath on Eve. Eve 1. Eve 2 was fine. See, I had to come up with a storyline, and I needed a whole lot of practice to get the human body where it needed to be in the physical realm. Some of you will say, no, God just imagined it and there it was. No, I am here to tell you that is not true, and science can tell you that. Now, there did come a time when I got really good at it, and you stop seeing a progression, well, anthropologically speaking, you can see some change that happened. It doesn't matter. She's a little tired. So anyway, he needed the Adam and Eve that are in the Bible to represent the beginning of everything in the heavens. And so Adam and Eve on earth were the first humans who could communicate with true words. So they were the first humans, because that is the hallmark of God. I am the Word. So all those Homo erectus, Homo blah, blah, blah. Oh, Greta. They couldn't really talk, so they weren't really held accountable for their actions. And, well, let's just say I was doing a whole lot of experimenting with them. And then I was ready to start inserting the human souls into the human bodies, and that was Adam and Eve. So they were the first humans, but they were not the first things that looked human upon the earth. So, some philosophers, some religions understand that this life, this physical world isn't the real world, and that the spiritual world is actually the real world, and this is kind of a reflection of that. Anyway, God has always told me that like the Adam and Eve in the Bible were not nearly as important as the first Adam and Eve, that everything was kind of set up upon. And a lot of Christians won't like to hear that the Adam and Eve we like to think of that were earthly, we don't totally understand that story. But people think you're going against the Bible if you say anything about them. And he just wants to point out that the first Adam and Eve are way more important than the earth Adam and Eve. Because this life is like, it's not as real as the spiritual world. And I've been to heaven, and I know the first thing you think when you get there is, oh my God, this is real. And you can't comprehend how you don't understand when you're down on earth what's real and what's not, because this feels real. Oh God. Like, this has to end soon because we can't even, like, work together anymore. That's me laughing. We're working together just fine. This is just the way it has to be right now. We are nearing the end. I've heard that for so long. I don't know. So, Adam and Eve, there were two of them. Science can still be compatible with the true story. We're gonna hear a lot more about this whole whatever happened up in the heavens, because that's why we're down here struggling. Although I have a sinking suspicion. No, I don't even know. Like, oh, when this whole real Adam and Eve thing was going on, eventually the heavens turned into like almost like a civilization. And they had like the equivalent of theater plays and culture. And God had created all these characters that represented himself, and actors of some sort would put on these epic plays with all these characters by the name of Apollo and Zeus and I could split myself into male and female identities. Athena, Aphrodite, Venus. I had fun writing those stories. But see, some of you know about the Nephilim. They came down. They spread some dark arts, occult witchcraft. And word got around about these characters I'd created to entertain my beloved heavenly citizens. Anyway, that's where mythology came from. It came from the heavens. He created the stars in the sky around these epic stories that he'd used to demonstrate his, well, I mean, I can't just be one thing. I'm everything. I thought it was a great idea to have all these little gods to represent, well, you know, my overactive imagination. Okay, everybody, I'm not in the mood for him. I'm sorry. I know some of you like him. Praise Jesus Christ. Praise the Holy Spirit. She will be totally and absolutely forgiven for. She's called me some names, folks. I don't mind. Anyway, we'll let you go now, but there's so many beans to spill. But I think we're going to have to wait until our reluctant prophet is feeling a little better. Keep those prayers coming, guys. They are working. All right, everybody. God bless you all. I haven't been in the best of frames of mind, so if I'm not able to communicate as much as I was in the past weeks, hopefully I'll be back. I do love you. Everything you say to me, everything means so much. I know we'll get through this. Please do not despair at my visible whatever it is. What? I guess I'm just feeling bad. My batteries. I don't really enjoy making these videos anymore. Don't worry, we're not gonna stop. Just bear with us here. Things will improve and she'll be quite turned around with her little attitude. Okay, guys. Really, I love you all. You all really, truly mean so much to me. Thank you for everything, and hopefully it won't be too long before you hear from me again. Amen.